What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the first part of a story where Issei was the reincarnation of ISSEI VOLDIGOAD. In the distant timeline, where things have gone exceedingly wrong. The supernatural, bored and fearful of humanity's population and potential, triggered the infamous event known as global freeze. An event that started to vastly lower the temperature of the world, making it uninhabitable for any human to inhabit. Humans slowly started to perish from the event. Eventually their population was barely thriving, with barely a few 1,000 left on the planet. Issei Hyoudou was one of the survivors, unaware and clueless of what the supernatural is trying to do. Decided to help the survivors and unite them against this cult, alongside his friends. However, one of them decided to betray them, exposing the whole operation. Soon scores of supernatural forces raided the whole base, killing everyone, including his loyal friends and lovers, and eventually cornered him with the intention of killing him. However, as he dies and watches them say humanity will be weaker than always, Issei vows to protect them as he gets a new chance. He soon encountered ISSEI VOLDIGOAD, who decided to join forces with the young man and ask him to end this cycle of death and destruction, to protect the planet against any future invaders. He agrees and is reborn as a demon whose goal is to lead the planet and ensure that history doesn't repeat itself again. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 1. To quote from ISSEI VOLDIGOAD, "Being the Demon King means being myself. And if my subordinates are threatened, I shall retaliate with destruction. It doesn't matter if I'm up against fate or providence. That is what it means to be the Demon King." Shelter room, unknown district, Japan, 9:30 a.m. A man was seen running towards the end of the shelter, trying to escape from someone. He was described to be a brown-haired man whose hair was messy and had brown eyes. He was wearing a black parka jacket, which had fur on his neck. He also wore long woolen leggings and gumboots, and had worn earmuffs which were designed as headphones for music listening. "Evacuate the people. We are under attack," he commanded, as the people present nodded in agreement, with the man continuing to speak. "Focus on the elderly, women and children first. Guard them with your lives, I will hold them off." "But boss, we..." One of the men spoke, as the brown-haired man responded. "Leave. I will hold the attackers off." The men nodded, with one of them speaking. "Yes boss Issei." They all rushed towards the location, with the now identified Issei heading inside. He had to contact his allies upon the attack. He wondered how did their enemies even come to know about the hidden bunker, which was disguised as a shelter room on the surface. This is all happening due to the phenomenon known as the global freeze. Issei spoke, remembering the fateful day the global freeze began. It happened right after a few days of Trihix's defeat and sealing by him and the faction's hands. The phenomenon wiped out 50% of the humanity on the first initial temperature drop. After that, humans died one by one. My parents and older sister Mary were victims of this as well, leaving me as the only Hyoudou family survivor. Even Asia, who was a reincarnated devil, couldn't handle the cold and was killed in my arms. Issei spoke, as a long tear fell from his eye. It has been 10 years since their deaths and 15 years since the global freeze began. Nobody knew where it came from, or how it happened. All they knew is that this event happens once every 100,000 years in this planet. One by one, those that were close to me started to die. First Irina, then Gasper, then Kiba, then Akeno, and then the rest of my friends died one by one. Despite us having blood of the supernatural, we couldn't make it out alive. Only a select few of us survived, with even the supernatural working alongside me surviving. We managed to survive, thanks to finding ways of growing food and livestock even in this hellish world. Issei commented, remembering what had happened. He had watched them perish one by one, either by rival groups that attacked the bunker to steal their loot, or from the intense cold, reaching -100 degrees Celsius, and eventually passing by the -100 degrees mark. The global freeze started by shutting down electricity, food and eventually even water supply. The world entered into what seemed to be a very dark age. Cars that tried to move to the south or coastal areas were consumed by snow, passengers inside freezing to death. Several groups including mine were made in order to survive this apocalypse. Issei narrated, remembering what had happened due to the apocalypse, with stores either buried in snow, and those that weren't ended up having expired food or rotting food. The food was rotting, and without proper medicine to survive, many fell to disease due to consuming rotten food or unclean water. In a world like this, only the strong survived, while the weak perished. Eventually, to survive, people had to turn to other methods to do so. Cannibalism was first seen in the 5 years from the apocalypse, when humans started to consume other humans to survive. It was disgusting, but to survive, people had to apply other methods. Issei spoke with slight disgust. He remembered in the 5 years, humans and other beings succumbing to insanity, and starting to cannibalize other humans, just to make sure they survive. Anything was meant to happen, and money became useless and mere paper due to the frozen apocalypse. Only some of us are alive. Roswus, the only member of my peerage alive, Ain Lucifuge, one of my closest friends and older sister of Grafia Lucifuge. Azazel-sensei, the fallen angel leader. Yusaka-san, the leader of what remains of a few Tenyakai. Artemis, the former man-hating goddess of Olympus, who had lost her sister to the intense cold, to name a few. We are working together to preserve and save what remains of humanity, and try to find a way to live in this planet, or find another planet where we can stay on. Issei added, as his eyes pulled up remembering the deaths he had to watch, with them dying one by one. But the Red Dragon Emperor had hope in his eyes. Partner, there are signatures of devils, angels, fallen angels, and other deities coming this way. You need to protect the defenseless humans now. The familiar Red Dragon responded to him, as Issei knew this was Drake, the only one that was aware of what is happening. Issei nodded in understanding, as he headed towards the bunker room to protect the humans that were present there. Drake, can you contact office in Great Red? Issei asked in response, to which Drake responded. As much as I would like to, there is no contact with the dragons. It is almost like someone is jamming access to them completely. Same goes for Lilith. All three have been sealed in a location where we cannot communicate. We are on our own, partner. Issei gave a small chuckle, speaking in response. I guess this is it. Let's go, Drake. Yeah. Drake responded, as the duo entered into Diabolo's dragon, without having to do the chant due to years of practicing it. They used their boosters to head to the location where the people are kept. He immediately dashed forward to the lower locations of the bunker, ensuring the people of this bunker would be safe. He used his authorization as the leader, and tapped in the passcode, with the doors entering in. Only to be met with a horrific sight. The people were all slain, all either burned to crisp or have perished in a brutal manner. Some had their guts and body parts ripped from their body, and they even had their organs ripped from their body. Even women and children weren't spared, with newborns also being slain in a brutal manner. Issei lost his armor and fell to his knees, tears falling from his eyes. He couldn't save these people from their attackers. He hated what has happened, and all of them were killed. The newborns were hope to this broken and destroyed world, since once the global freeze would have ended, they could rebuild and live a life from the broken parts of the world. Partner, handle yourself. It was not your fault. Drake exclaimed, trying to get him to his senses, but Issei was grieving at so many deaths. Issei then exclaimed, I couldn't save them. I couldn't save anyone. Issei, listen. Drake spoke his name, and when he does, it shows how close the two have become, as he continues. We couldn't save them, doesn't mean you got to quit. There are still others you can save, your friends that are fighting the raiders that have attacked us. We can save who we can. If we don't, we will lose everything. Issei could only look at Drake and nod in agreement. However, before he could leave, he heard a groan. He turned to see a woman looking at him, speaking with a low tone. B-boss. Issei rushed to the person, and saw she was barely alive, as he spoke with a shaky tone. Hang in there. He brought out some antiseptics using his magic dimension, and tried to bring it to her wound only for her to stop, while speaking. It's no use. Issei was about to speak, when the woman pointed to what seemed to be several organs on the ground. He widened his eyes upon realizing what must have happened, making him realize that they must have tortured her in order for her to perish. It was by sheer willpower that she was alive. Who did this to you? Issei asked with a shaky and low tone. He was beyond furious at what happened to them. He wanted to know which gang had raided their fortified and secure base, and vowed to make them pay for what they have done. The woman then spoke with a shaky tone. It was the G gods that did this. The supernatural forces that were led by them did this. They set to wipe out all lower beings. They even killed them, my boy, without any mercy. The woman spoke with tears, as she pointed to the mutilated corpse of a small boy who was 4 years old. Issei gritted his teeth in anger, his draconic traits being in full display. He wondered where the gods went, since they vanished when the global freeze was first triggered and never showed up after that. Now he understood, or had an idea of what might have happened. He was livid at what these gods have done. He had to find the others and stop him. The boss, thank you for taking me in, and protecting us when we first came here. I am sorry I couldn't repay you in kind. The woman spoke her final words before she perished from the blood. Issei gently closed his eyes, while speaking with a low tone. Sleep, Lena, forgive me for not protecting you like I promised. Issei muttered with a low tone, as he walked away from the corpse and walked towards the location where the fight was happening. He could sense a massive magic presence heading to the location. The sound of destruction echoed through the battlefield as debris and bodies littered the ground. A door flew past him, torn from its hinges by an unseen force, a grim reminder of the overwhelming power they faced. Issei's gaze sharpened as he beheld the last warriors still standing. Serzich's Lucifer and Vali Lucifer, locked in a desperate battle against the gods of multiple pantheons. Among them, Yusaka, Artemis, and Azazel fought with everything they had, their bodies battered and bloodied. Many had already fallen, Ain, Roswis, and countless others had succumbed to the overwhelming might of the divine onslaught. Issei could only close his eyes, tears falling from them due to many more of his comrades falling to what has happened. He also lost some of his lovers like Ain, Roswis and Rias, who were all slain by the gods, without any mercy or care, but they had gone down fighting, since he could see the corpses of the gods as well. From the ranks of the gods, the first to speak was Shiva, his voice calm yet laced with unshaken superiority. You should be fighting alongside us, not these fragile humans who will inevitably crumble before us. Shiva declared, his many arms still crackling with divine energy. Zeus turned his gaze toward his daughter, Artemis, his expression twisted with contempt. You have disgraced me, Artemis. Siding with these mortals you once despised. You will be treated no differently than them. Artemis gritted her teeth, fury and sorrow warring in her heart. Her huntresses had all once been human, and though she had harbored resentment toward men, she had fought to protect humanity from threats beyond their understanding. And there was something else, an unspoken love for Issei, a truth she had never been able to admit. She clenched her fists, her voice trembling as she lashed out. Athena died because of the global freeze, and now you dishonor her memory, father. Artemis shouted, her silver eyes blazing with defiance. Zeus did not flinch. His lips curled in disdain. You are blind, just like your sister. Do you not understand your role? You are not meant to protect humanity, you were created to keep them in check. Their purpose is not to defy us, but to follow the order we set. Although, your brother was more loyal to us. Artemis's breath caught in her throat as the weight of his words crushed her. She was beyond furious at how callous her supposed father was. Ra, the sun god, stepped forward, his golden presence radiating oppressive heat. Lord Zeus speaks the truth. It is our duty to ensure humanity never strays beyond the power we have allotted them. When they rise above their station, we remind them of their place. Susanoo let out a cold laugh, arms folded as he added. We have been doing this for centuries, every time humans reach a level they should not. Their arrogance always leads them to believe they can surpass the gods. It is our responsibility to correct their folly. His expression darkened as he concluded. And so, we will do it again. Serzich's fists clenched at his sides, his demonic aura flaring wildly with rage. His eyes burned with the anguish of loss. He had already lost Graphia, Milikas, and his parents to the global freeze. Now, Rheas and Roswis had fallen before his eyes, casualties of the gods' relentless assault. The revelation hit him like a hammer. You would kill all of us, wouldn't you? Serzich's growled, his voice trembling with barely contained fury. Yusaka, once known for her warmth and wisdom, had grown cold and hardened by years of loss. Her golden eyes bore nothing but venom as she glared at the gods before her. I should have expected this. They had no care when my daughter perished in the global freeze. Her voice was laced with bitterness. Punu had died in a violent gang raid, a result of the chaos that had consumed the world after the divine catastrophe. Yusaka had wiped out the entire gang in a blind rage, but no vengeance could bring her daughter back. It was Issei who had been there to pull her back from the darkness, the only person who had understood her pain. And now, these so-called gods dared to justify their actions. Susanoo smirked as he watched the fury in their eyes. Had you chosen to side with us, you would have lived, Susanoo said mockingly. But you still do not understand. The global freeze. That was us. A stunned silence fell upon the battlefield. Serzich's breath hitched. His body trembled as he whispered. That means. Zeus smiled, an eerie satisfaction in his voice. Yes. We were the ones who orchestrated the global freeze. It was our will that shattered your world. It was our decree that sealed away Office, Lilith, and Great Red, trapped in the same kind of prison that once held Terhixa. No one is coming to save you. Any dragon that survived was hunted down and exterminated. You have bored us with your peace, and now it is time to end this. And how we came to know of this. It was all thanks to Odin. Ra spoke, as Odin walked forward with a sinister smile. Ollie grew wide-eyed and gritted his teeth in anger, knowing that his adoptive family was the one that had turned against him. He then exclaimed, You betrayed us, Odin. Odin only smirked and responded. I did, and it was me that exposed your base. Humans need to be curbed, especially the two of you, Vali and Issei. You will regret this, Odin. Albion growled from the divine dividing as Odin responded with a smirk. You will do nothing, just I in this world like all those lower beings. It was easy to make you all fight a war we couldn't win. We use you to win against Terhixa. And all of us gods are living in peace, while you mortals suffer. Odin responded callously, at the prospect making Vali more angrier. He vowed to make an example out of Odin before killing him permanently. Serzich's mind reeled. His entire belief in the balance of power, the delicate peace between factions, had been shattered. All of it, nothing but a cruel illusion. We were pawns. Ollie murmured, his voice dark with realization. He clenched his fists, his energy surging as his rage exploded. We were nothing more than pieces in your game. Zeus sneered, dismissing his anger as meaningless. Of course. You, the devils, the angels, the fallen, the yokai, and especially the humans. You were always beneath us. You forget your place, thinking yourselves equal to the divine. But once again, we will put you in your rightful place. Shiva's eyes gleamed with finality. You are nothing but anomalies, mistakes in the grand design. We have allowed you to exist for too long, but now, we will restore order. The global freeze was only the beginning. We will erase you all, as we have done countless times before. A heavy silence settled over the battlefield. The weight of betrayal, grief, and fury twisted in their hearts. But something else burned within them now, something far greater than despair. It was resolve. They were determined to fight till the bitter end. After all, they had nothing left to lose. However, before anyone could respond, a powerful green blast had struck all of them, making several scream in pain. Several gods had fallen from the strike alone, as Shiva defended himself with a barrier as he gritted his teeth, knowing exactly who was solely responsible for this. The allies looked to see Issei had arrived, in his true Diabolos dragon, as he spoke with anger. Bloody damned gods. Issei rushed forward towards his allies, speaking. You guys alright? What took you so long? Vali spoke with a cocky tone, as he responded. These bastard gods have killed the people that were inside the safe house. I was too late to save them. They all realized this and scowled at what these gods have done. Yusaka no longer followed these gods in any manner, and detested ever seeing them as gods, knowing that they were responsible for so many deaths. They all got ready for the final battle. Once the dust settled, several gods were killed, including Zeus from the blast alone, caught off guard by the very powerful attack. Shiva glared at Issei, as he spoke. You damned brat. How dare you oppose Dharma? Go suck it, Shiva. Issei spoke mockingly while pointing to his left hand, while making a mocking gesture and flipping him off. Shiva was even more furious as he radiated massive amounts of aura, however he was unaffected. He then spoke. You will perish here today. Humanity will no longer reach the levels that they have reached before. You kind bored us. So that is what we are to you. Entertainment. Xerxes exclaimed with anger, as Susanoo, who was badly injured, responded. You mortals are quite amusing as entertainment, same goes to you lower life forms. You shall all perish. Bold words for someone that got his butt kicked by Hyoudou just a while back. Ali taunted the Shinto god of thunder, making him really furious at what the White Dragon Emperor had said. He gritted his teeth in pain and anger, as he coughed up blood. The remaining gods were all ready to fight against them. What about you, Artemis? You going to fight with us? Artemis only returned a smile and responded. I would rather die than work with the same people that caused the death of my friends and family. Let's fight till the very end. You ain't mad that I killed your daddy? Issei asked mockingly, to which Artemis responded. He had it coming for what he did, now let's clash. I am in as well, they will pay for what they did to my family and my people. Xerxes spoke angrily, entering into his true form, which was the physical embodiment of destruction. Yusaka displayed her tails in full sway ready for a brawl, while Vali entered into his Diabolos dragon Lucifer, with him also not requiring the chant. Artemis readied her bow, while Issei entered into his stance ready for battle. We have nothing to lose anyway, well they have everything to lose. Yusaka commented, her daughter was everything, and if they die, they can die knowing that they died with no regrets and fighting till the bitter end. She was ready to take down her enemies. Let's go, false god. Issei spoke with a cold tone, as Shiva responded. I will destroy all of you, none shall ever oppose the gods ever again. Shiva declared in response as both sides charged in an epic battle against each other. They both were ready to end each other once and for all. Scene change, shelter room, unknown district, Japan, 7:30 p.m. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't beat the armies of gods, and one by one had fallen to their demises. Issei was being held by Shiva, who had won, albeit with serious injuries, like losing an eye and several parts of his body. They had managed to take down major armies of gods, with several chief gods falling to the six, which wouldn't have been possible. Issei was struggling against him in every manner. He was able to beat off many gods, including defeating some like Vishnu and Brahma alongside Vali, who was slain by the latter, but not before taking the god down with him. It's over. Your resistance ends here. I should have started killing your kind when you became too strong. You have defied the divine order, and now it's over. Shiva spoke with exhaustion. Even he couldn't have beaten Issei alone, since he had killed Vishnu before he had fought against the god of destruction, and still was able to damage him. He then continued. This is exactly why I triggered the global freeze. You mortals need to be curbed to the limit, so that you don't cause problems to the divine order. Divine order? Issei asked while struggling. He was waiting for the right opportunity to strike him back. If he cannot kill him, he was definitely going to take him to hell with him. Shiva then spoke. I won't spare too much time, but know this, as long as we gods thrive, we will never let mortals become too strong. This is the result of what happens. Gods are dead because of mortals that think they can surpass and condemn judgment portrayed by us. You have bored us too as well, and you won't be defying us ever again. Now, then, goodbye, Issei Hyoudou. Issei could only laugh in response, as he spoke. In other words, well, you are afraid of us, aren't you, Shiva? What are you talking about? Shiva growled in response, as Issei responded. Admit it, you are scared of losing your position as a destroyer god, due to one day humanity crushing you eventually. Quite cowardly, destroyer god. Shiva only growled, and decided to end his life by opening his third eye, with the intention of destroying him, along with the corpses in this location. However, Issei responded. If I am going down, I am taking you to hell with me. Blazing inferno of scorching flares. Drake declared from the boosted gear, with the intention of burning the god alive with Issei. He had nothing to lose, but he was going to make the god of destruction suffer in response, making him scream in agony, as Shiva desperately tried to use his destruction magic to defend himself, but was unable to do so. Both of them took direct damage from the flames. The onlookers, or surviving gods, could only watch in fear, as Shiva burned alive, with his wife Parvati screaming in horror. Shiva. She tried to use her magic to prevent the attack from hurting her husband any further, only to see the flames aren't stopping in any manner. She gritted her teeth in anger, and entered into her Kali form to try and stop the flames using chaos magic, only for it to backfire, due to the immense flames that were being too strong, forcing her to return to her old self. "You damned mortal!" Parvati exclaimed with anger and frustration, as the flames soon dispelled itself, leaving a near-dead Shiva and Issei, both of whose bodies were charred from the attack. Despite Issei having the flesh of Great Red and powers of office, he was nowhere near as strong as any of them, and could lose in any given scenario. They both fell to the ground, as Shiva's body faded away in response due to the flames, destroying his soul in the process, killing him in the end, and Issei was on the ground, being the last one standing. He knew that his time was up, and the flames would destroy his body as well, though it is unknown if his soul would survive. He then spoke. "Sorry Drake, but this is it. No. Not you two. I don't wish to lose you two. Albion has already left his partner, and I don't want to leave you as well." Drake exclaimed with sadness, but before anything could happen, Parvati lunged at him with a trisser in her hand, and slammed it on his head as she shouted with fury and hatred. "Take this, you damned mortal." She screamed with all of her hatred, as Issei soon fell to the ground, closing his eyes. But not before speaking his final words. "You gods, if I ever get a second chance at life, I will make sure the global freeze never happens. You gods will be dealt with for your beliefs. You may have won against us, but soon we will win against you." Issei spoke his last words, before closing his eyes. Parvati could only scream in agony and helplessness, knowing that this man was able to convince so many strong allies to cause many divine deaths. Out of all the time they had to reenact the global freeze, this one was the worst when it comes to the cleansing of the humanity, with many of the gods being slain, primarily those of the chief gods, due to Issei and Vali slaying both of them. Their power easily towering and surpassing several gods due to their time in the bunker. Parvati looked at the corpses of the gods slain with anger in her eyes. This was not supposed to happen, and their deaths will be recovered. But she knew that souls destroyed by them wouldn't be revived. She then spoke to her fellow gods. "Spare some survivors, and let them repopulate this world. Stop the global freeze, we are done with the judgment of humanity." But Lady Parvati, Tsukuyomi, who was one of the survivors, spoke. "What if the dragons come into the humans that have survived? They won't." Parvati spoke seriously, as she continued. "Send a small detachment of gods to heaven and jam the sacred gear system. We have to make sure a repeat of history won't happen again. This time, we will ensure that the day they enter into industrial revolution." Parvati walked to Issei's corpse, and kicked it in anger. She detested Issei the most for taking her husband from her permanently. She then continued. "We will crush those humans, never making them reach the levels they have done before. Ever again." Parvati leaves the room, as she walks out. This was a victory for the gods, albeit a hollow victory. Issei and his allies slayed the gods, but it was not the end. They will see to it that humanity will always be curbed. Scene change: unknown location. Issei woke up with a jerk, as he looked to see himself in what seems to be a white void. He looked around to see that there was no one in this location. He has spoken. Where am I?" He could feel the boosted gear in his hands, as he called out. "Drake." Drake didn't respond from the gear, making him even more concerned. He then muttered. "If this is the afterlife, then why I am only here? Cause this is not the afterlife, well, not exactly. This is where individuals are reincarnated to have a second chance at life." Issei turned towards the source of the voice, where he saw an individual that looked like a black-haired, black and red-eyed young man, muscular body, and is quite handsome. He was wearing a dark battle-ready outfit with a long, flowing coat featuring black, brown, and white color accents. The coat is adorned with metal clasps and a circular belt buckle, adding to its structured and authoritative look. His shoulders are protected by large, silver-plated armor pauldrons with angular designs, extending outward to give a strong, warrior-like appearance. The sleeves of the coat are long and fitted, with gauntlet-like cuffs. "Who are you?" Issei asked with confusion, to which the man spoke. "My name is ISSEI VOLDIGOAD. The Demon Lord and you, Issei, are tasked with being my reincarnation." Issei was surprised by this. He didn't know who this man was. His whole life had been a miserable joke after the global freeze. Only to find out it has been triggered by the gods, that have been afraid of what he and many of his allies are capable of. He then spoke. "Why now?" "Because I had to wait till you died once to do so. I saw your life, and just when things were getting better for you, it went downhill for no reason. I will make this quick. We will soon merge into one being due to this reincarnation, and here we will be speaking for one final time. You will have a winning chance against all those that have destroyed your friends, family and loved ones. Ano spoke in response, and with a smile, as Issei could only grit his teeth in anger, remembering what has happened in his world where the gods betrayed them, used them for their own goals, and killed them due to using them. I will make this quick. Your task is to prevent the global freeze from happening again, and put those that wish to trigger it in their place. Ano spoke seriously, making Issei confused. Ano walked towards the side and explained. Before your civilizations, there were advanced civilizations far beyond anything yours could possibly imagine. The futuristic science fiction shows that you watch were reality before they were destroyed. Ano soon used his magic to show the worlds that proceeded before them, as he explained. These worlds existed long before your birth happened, cause whenever a world reaches an advanced stage. The gods of these worlds trigger what is called a global freeze. One of these worlds is Atlantis, which had managed to survive the global freeze due to its futuristic technology. However, the gods wanted the humans dead, killing all of them that have lived so far, which is why Atlantis is considered a lost city in this world, and the one that killed them was none other than Poseidon, the god they had once worshipped. Issei couldn't help but look in horror, as Poseidon decided to drown the entire city without any mercy or care for the people of this world. He gritted his teeth in anger, knowing on how their world would have been without any gods. Then there is another world, and this was Neo-Shangi, a city near the county formerly known as China. This world was also destroyed by the gods of Hindu in that location. This city was one of the most advanced cities Earth has experienced for a long time. Yet they were killed without any mercy. Even Chinese gods couldn't survive the power and might of the Hindu gods, as they were also slain without any mercy, while altering the memory of Sun Wukong and any other Yaokai affiliated with them, causing them to be more inclined to the Hindu faction. Issei looked to see the carnage and destruction that world had faced, and despite the resistance put up by them, they had eventually fallen, as well by the gods. He was even more furious. Anos noticed his anger, and spoke. The point is, that this cycle will be going on for centuries. Whenever humanity reaches a level they shouldn't have, reaching levels that may cause them to surpass gods, they are always curbed, and any supernatural that sides with them are killed by these gods, including other gods. But what do I even do? Issei asked Anos, to which the man responded. Once the merging begins, you will share my memories in my past. Many gods portray a sense of justice and goodness, but in reality, are power-hungry and rotten, and both of our worlds share this. That is why, when you head there, I want you to end the global freeze. End this cycle of murdering and wiping out those that want to control humanity and other species who strive for unity. Fight back, and this time destroy all the gods. Will you do it? Issei nodded without hesitation, as he responded. But reincarnation, where will I be heading? You will remember everything of the old world, worry not. As for your reincarnation, you will be reborn a few years before the Great War of the Underworld, as one of the Astaroth children. Your goal will be to become the demon lord that will oppose the will of the gods, becoming the very first misfit. You will be a pure-blooded demon, and yes, Drake will also be with you. If you are asking where he is in your gear but asleep. Issei nodded in understanding, as he spoke in response. He had a major question, knowing that with Drake being with him, what changes may happen. So Anos, what changes would happen in the timeline? I have Drake in the gear, so won't it mess up the world? Issei asked, to which Anos responded. Yes, changes will be present, but more will be present given you are being sent to the past. Now what changes happens, depends on you or us, to be precise. The question remains, are you ready? I am. What worse could be than the hellish world I had come from? Issei mused, as Anos knew what is to come. He was aware that this change would change this timeline once and for all. He then spoke. Well then, see you on the other side. Let's change the world, together. Issei once again nodded, with soon a bright light consuming them. They knew what would happen, but knew that they had to change the world for the better, else they would all be done for. They aren't going to let history repeat again, no matter what happens. 750 years before, Astaroth Mansion, Underworld, 9:30 AM. A newborn baby was born, as he was seemingly silent. This was none other than Issei Hyoudou, now Issei Voldigad reincarnated into a newborn baby. He was being watched over by his mother, the Lady Lyra Astaroth. She was a green-haired woman wearing noble clothing, as she spoke. Oh, he is so cute. I wish my husband were here to see this child. But alas, he is once again at war. One of the maids walked up to her and spoke. What should we name her, Lady Astaroth? I don't know, but I do know I need to choose a perfect name for him. However, the baby suddenly opened his eyes and exclaimed, I am Issei Voldigad. The two grew wide-eyed and exclaimed with a shock, as they spoke at the same time. You can speak. I can, seems like you are my mother. Issei spoke in response, as Lyra looked at her son, and knew that this kid is going to be eventually used for war against the factions. The woman looked at him with tears in her eyes, knowing this child would be special. However, she was going to love him regardless. Why yeah. Lyra nuzzled to her son. Issei had a small blush on his face seeing this woman act so lovely towards him. Him having a second mother made him pretty conflicted. His original mother Mickey passed away saving him in the infamous global freeze. And this new mother cares for him. He shook his head. He was not going to let a repeat of the future happen again. Well, it's time for your feeding. Issei grew pale by this. A part of him was not comfortable by this. She soon removed a portion of her clothing, and he was initially internally pleading not to deny it. However, the woman who was his mother responded. Drink up, Issei. She soon brought the baby close to him. Issei sighed and accepted his fate, which caused him to be breathed. He didn't want to fight back or hurt his mother in any manner, and was successfully breathed by his mother. Issei had no reason to not resist and started to suck on her breasts. He was not going to stay in his child form forever. He might have to increase his age rapidly, since he had to find his allies, or at least those that have survived, and warn them on the gods of this world betraying them. Or he could live normally and wait, since the gods won't wipe them out just yet. A few years later, Issei's room, Astaroth Mansion, Underworld, 10:30 p.m. Issei looked around. Now being a 12-year-old, he was with his mother. He did meet his father a few years back, and he looked like a blonde-haired man, who was also wearing noble clothing. His new parents did remind him of the ones he had when he was human. They cared for him and cherished him, regardless on whether he showed massive amounts of magic, and even had the ability to conjure up spells by simply saying a name. His father believed Issei to be a super devil, due to his immense mana potential, but Issei knew that his current power was due to Anos and Drake, both being present with him. He just met Drake a few days back, and was happy that his best friend was with him. He started to also train with the other young devils at the age of 6. Being a prodigy in magic, he learned magic skills and spells that most ultimate or Satan-class devils would struggle. Well, mother, who are we meeting? Issei asked, to which Lyra responded. We will be meeting your uncle, the current leader of the Astaroth household. Please, Issei, be a bit respectful to him. He can be a handful to deal with. Handful? Issei asked, confused. He never went that deep into the family background due to a certain Diodora Astaroth, but he wondered on who this man is. He then spoke. The man, what kind of a person he is. He will do anything to improve the house's prestige. That man constantly sends my husband to battles against the fallen angels and angels, in order to make himself look good in the front of Lord Lucifer. I believe you know that we are in the times of war, right? Lyra spoke up, to which Issei gave a nod, as he added. So he is one of those, huh? One of those, what do you mean, Ice-kun? Lyra asked, confused, to which Issei spoke. Nothing, I will try. But if he crosses a line, I don't mind putting him in his place. Issei spoke with a smile, earning a sigh from Lyra. Issei was the type that didn't care about family names or even prestige, and wouldn't hesitate to put them in their place if needed. Lyra then spoke. Ice, please. Just try not to kill him. I can't promise, if he insults me, your father, I won't show any mercy. Issei spoke seriously, to which Lyra spoke while she held his hand, and spoke. Alright, but please don't kill him upon the first insult. That I can promise, I guess. Issei mused, earning a smile from his mother. The duo headed inside, where the chambers with the current leader of House Astaroth was standing. This was Rozak Astaroth. He was described to be a green-haired man wearing noble clothing. He seemed to be reading some battle plans. This man is Ajuka's father. And this is where Ajuka would eventually become the new heir of the clan, before that title moves on to Diodora. Issei thought, as Drake added inside his head. Partner, what will you do? He remembered that he was reborn alongside his partner, and was relieved to join him as they fight back against the gods that have ruined their world. Issei knew that he had to keep certain people alive, till their actions would result in the birth of his allies, friends and loved ones. Else if they die early on. I will play with this man, let's see how much pride he has. Though I am not looking forward to meeting the 4 great Satans of this year. From what Azazel Sensei informed me, they have immense arrogance, so I don't know what kind of people they really are. Issei commented inside his head towards the dragon best friend that is living inside his body, with Drake responded. Well, I did meet them, and like Azazel Sensei said, they are all arrogant. With each devil Satan representing each sin, for instance Lucifer represented pride. So it shouldn't be surprising that they will show fire nature towards you guys as well. That's true, I guess. Issei gave a sigh, as his thoughts were soon brought towards Lyra, who spoke up. Lord Astaroth, I have brought him here. As you have requested. Lyra had brought up Issei to them. Issei could sense the pride reeking of the man. He knew that he is going to have a field day dealing with this man. Rozak Astaroth was his uncle, and he knew that he is going to have a lot to deal with. Good Lyra, you can leave him be. Lyra looked concerned, as she retorted. But, Lyra, leave. It is an order from Lord Astaroth. Issei had a look of anger, given how he was treating his mother. He only gave a small glare that made the man stiff, making him unable to move. The man immediately froze, his whole body convulsing in response to the ability. This was Issei's magic eyes of destruction, allowing him to immediately freeze any lower-class beings. Issei walked to him and grabbed him by the chin, speaking. You will not insult my mother in any manner. Lyra gave a sigh. She had a feeling that this was an outcome that was going to happen. She walked up to see, and spoke. Ice, please release him. You'll only cause problems. Issei turned to her and nodded. He released him from the grip as Rozak had a look of fear and dread with him speaking. I couldn't move. Just what that boy is capable of. Rozak muttered with complete fear knowing what the man is capable of. He turned to Issei, his look of fear changing to that of anger as he spoke. You have some nerve of using magic on your clan head. I don't see you as my boss, uncle. Let me make things clear, if my mother hadn't asked to release you, I would have seen to it that you would have been punished severely. Issei turned his back on the man as he spoke. I am leaving, unless you have something important. The man Rozak was gritting his teeth in anger. Him being humiliated like this by his own nephew was not something he had planned for. He then called out. Wait. Issei turned around seeing Rozak speaking. You need to introduce yourself to the 4 Satans in the next few days. How will you go about it? You can leave that to me. I will introduce myself as I see fit. You needn't worry about that, uncle. Issei spoke coldly, as Lara shook her head seeing the rage in Rozak's eyes. She knew that if it wasn't for Issei's current power, Rozak would have killed him for disrespecting and mocking him, along with his attitude. The man only cared for himself and the house's prestige, which was to look good in the eyes of Lucifer. She knew that was why he constantly sent his brother, her husband, to war, so that he can gain prestige. Issei then asked his final question, giving a glare to him. Tell me, uncle, when is the exact date for the meeting? Issei spoke seriously, as Rozak spoke in response. 12th of this month. Issei mused, as he soon left with him speaking. Very well, mother, let's go. Lyra took one last look at her brother-in-law, before also leaving. She knew that Rozak needed to be humbled once in his life, since in this time, arrogance will only get yourself killed. She has seen it with ambitious devils who bit more they can chew, causing their demises. She was aware that being arrogant in the Great War is the last thing that they wanted. Rozak, on the other hand, he was furious. He disliked his nephew's arrogance and attitude, and had an idea on how to discipline him. He decided to send him to war, on a conquest that would definitely humble him or get him killed. He immediately decided to send a message to Lucifer about this, and convinced him to send him in war. Back outside, Lyra turned to her son, and asked. Ice, why did you do that? Is it not obvious? The man reeks of arrogance. He would surely annoy me if I didn't do that, but at the same time, he insulted you and threatened you to leave with his status. You know how much I hate people like them, right, mother? Lyra could only give a nod, as she turned towards him. She remembered on how much she had fought back against the 6 houses of Lucifer, when they flaunt their status against him. Needless to say, they didn't bother him again after some magic sessions. If they had reported it to their higher-ups, it would have been an insult to their pride as one of the members of the 6 houses of Lucifer. Issei. She gently kept her hand on him speaking. I am not against you fighting back, but please, don't do something rash that would get yourself killed. I won't, mother. Not this time. Issei spoke in response, as he continued. There is no way I am going to fall again. You can count on it. Issei headed inside, to where his room was. He looked at his current appearance. There was no way he was going to go to his next destination like this. He changed his appearance that would suit a modern look. Issei soon chanted a clothing spell change. Klederwechsel. Soon a bright glow emerged and his clothes changed without any problems. He now seen wearing a white school uniform, which consists of a black shirt, white jacket and pants, and a badge displaying a cross, the symbol of the Demon King Academy's only misfit. He also wears white trousers, a black belt, and a metal chain. This looks fine. He used cloth magic to change his appearance to something that would be more comfortable for him. Drake then commented from the boosted gear. Looking good, partner. Thanks, Drake. Issei mused, as he asked. Though, I wonder if Isaka would recognize me in this state. Issei decided to go after his first ally, which was Isaka. She died in the bitter end, falling to the goddess she had once looked up to, which was goddess Amaterasu, who had no hesitation or mercy for killing her. She had been stabbed in the back, and in retaliation, she was brutally maimed by Issei, who had blown her to pieces without any mercy. At first Issei didn't know about the existence and origin of god-slaying magic, but he soon found out that the gods that opposed the global freeze designed this magic to eventually find a way to counter divine beings. He found this around 7 years old, and immediately mastered and knew all forms of god-slaying magic. This was found by Issei thanks to him merging with Anno's Voldigad, where they became a single being known as Issei Voldigad. God-slaying magic was formed from origin magic that is the source of all magic in this world. All magic originates from origin magic, and mastering it is near impossible, even for some gods. God-slaying magic is one of the most powerful magic that was formed from origin magic. It was one of the most unknown magic, and nobody knew what else origin magic is capable of. Well, it is time for me to leave. Issei soon decided to head to his next location, and that was the Kyoto territory of Japan. He wondered how different the location would look like. He knew that currently was the Kamakura period, and he would get to see Japan of that era in first person. Scene change: Kamakura City, feudal Japan, 11:30 AM. Issei had managed to teleport to the location, and could see that the Japan he once knew was barely small. It only spanned around a few locations, almost akin to a village with several walls surrounding each territory. So this is feudal Japan, huh? Issei commented, looking around the location. He was intrigued by what he was witnessing and had a smile. Drake then commented, "Indeed, I never got to see this place in person. It is truly incredible that we can actually live through one of the most peaceful periods of Japan." Hold up, didn't your past hosts come here? Or even had a Japanese past host? Issei asked incredulously, to which Drake responded, "Most of them were at the Western Front, so Eastern hosts were very rare. And it was definitely not in this year." "Guess that is true." Issei walked inside the city and looked around. He had put illusion magic to make himself look more or less like one of the people from here. But his appearance would give it away. He could see the children playing with rods and sticks, as well as physical play. There was no anime or smartphones, obviously, since they were in the 13th century. Most of the people were either hooked up to their idols, waifus, or favorite 2D character. But here, Issei saw that they are hardworking and moving around. Issei knew that history had its flaws, since during this period the shogunate was rising, and once again war broke out in Japan. Then there was the selling of women into powerful houses for political and wealth gain. So a lot of issues, and then there was the wars, and eventually the modern day before the global freeze, where the gods started to perform the reset button, also known as the global freeze. He continued to walk, not bothering or annoying any of the individuals, and soon headed to the exit, where he had seen many farmers growing crops outside of the boundaries. Issei knew that the shogunate would tax these individuals regardless on how their crops are going to yield. He soon headed to a forest, when he saw less and less individuals. Eventually he heard a voice that he would have never heard. "What is a demon doing here?" Issei turned around to see a woman who was standing behind him. He turned around to see none other than Yusaka, who was much younger than before. Though it is uncertain to decide due to kitsunes not aging by that much. Her hairstyle was in the traditional updo, with long, flowing blonde hair cascading down her back. The top portion is gathered and secured with multiple ornamental hairpins, including golden sticks adorned with small red beads and decorative elements. Her bangs frame her face softly, with a few strands left loose to add a natural touch, while her fox ears protrude from the top, blending seamlessly with her hairstyle. She had two fox-like tails growing out from her backside. Her clothing is a fusion of traditional Japanese attire and modern design elements. She wears a stylish, form-fitting kimono-inspired outfit that is predominantly yellow with black accents. The top features an off-the-shoulder design, revealing her collarbone and décolletage, with a deep neckline bordered in red. The sleeves are long and flowing, with a black base decorated with large red floral patterns and green leaves. The outfit is cinched at the waist with a white obi belt, tied with a black string for added contrast. The lower half consists of a matching yellow skirt-like piece with a black vertical stripe running down the middle, blending modern aesthetics with traditional elements. She completes the look with classic Japanese Jetta sandals with white tabi socks. Issei almost teared up when he saw her again. Never in his life he would see the woman that was one of his lovers show up again. He calmed himself, highly doubting she would even know him at this point. "Is something wrong, demon?" Yusaka once again asked, to which Issei responded, "Nothing, this place. Is this a shrine?" "Yes it is, though it is rare to see a demon in these parts of the town. I never seen a demon in my life before, with only hearing of them. Who even are you, and what are you doing here? Are you here to harm us?" Yusaka asked in response, her tails being on the alert for an attack. She was preparing a senjutsu attack which was comparable to a lower-class devil. Issei introduced himself to the kitsune, assuring her that he is not a threat. "My name is Issei Voldigad. I thought to visit on the eastern side of things since war was getting too much on my nerves, though I'd have some peace and quiet. I am not here to harm you in any manner." Sensing Issei wasn't lying to her, Yusaka soon grew a smile and spoke. "Well then, you have come to the right place. My name is Yusaka, the current princess to the Yaokai faction. Unless you don't bring a war here, you are welcome in the shrine." She soon turned to the shrine and spoke. The shrine was built to honor Lady Amaterasu, the sun goddess and our patron goddess. She usually is the one to look after most of us kitsunes when we first enter into our human form. Yusaka exclaimed, unaware on the growing scowl on Issei's face. He remembered on how the very same goddess she once looked up to was the one to kill her, and is why her future daughter had passed away. However, what got his attention was something interesting. It was their transformation. "Wait, so you started off as a regular fox?" Issei asked with a surprise. He had a slightly different presumption of kitsunes, given they were special foxes that were unique, and had the abilities of the set beings. Yusaka turned to him and gave a nod. She then turned back to the shrine, while preparing for a small seat for him. "Yes, Voldigad-sama, I was born as a simple female fox. I have lived in this wilderness for almost my entire life, rarely moving into human settlement. The people in this place often gave me food when I came, but as time passed, I saw on how things changed. People growing, and when the time came, I started to grow an additional tail. Which was when I started to gain new powers." She soon motioned Issei to sit down near the seat she had made for him, as she continued. I was naked when I had transformed into a human being for the very first time by accident. I had no idea on how to behave like a human, and even ran on all fours. But fortunately, after a few moments and before any human could see, I was stopped when a bright glow arrived, which was when I met up with Lady Amaterasu. She taught me everything and on how to be human and even my new powers. And well, here I am. Yusaka spoke with a normal tone, as Issei couldn't help but feel slightly unnerved by this. He had a small blush on her face. He shook his head and responded. I see, so this is Amaterasu, why would you want to follow her? Like shouldn't you charter your own path and live a normal life? It's simple, Voldigad-sama. Yusaka spoke, as she walked towards the kitchen to get some hot tea for him. She then continued. I want to pay her back in the future, she showed kindness to me and many kitsunes like me. So I don't wish to abandon her. I will be by her side for all eternity. What if she is using you? Issei asked the obvious question, knowing what is to come of the future, causing Yusaka's breath to hitch, making her almost drop the plate. She looked at Issei in shock, before responding. And no, she wouldn't. Seeing this state of Yusaka, Issei decided to change the topic. He knew that Yusaka did look up to Amaterasu a lot, and he had a feeling this would be true for Artemis, Athena and all of his allies that had perished during the global freeze, or by the gods. He had to be careful on how he convinced his allies to join him, since if the gods sense betrayal right now, they can take them down before they even get the chance to betray them. Or worse, they may end up not listening to him and hating him. Forget that I said it. Anyways, I am sick and tired of this great war. Yusaka listened quietly as she watched the tea boil. She was taught on how to cook food, and she was even taught on how to make tofu, which she was preparing by the side. Something that became the kitsune's favorite. It is tiring seeing on how the deaths happen on a daily if not weekly basis, due to skirmishes, ambushes and even outright wars. My own childhood was constantly sheltered cause of this, and I have never got to experience the outside for myself due to this. Normally, I wouldn't mind defending myself from enemies. But until I reach 14 to 15, I cannot join the armies. Yusaka listened again. She knew that the war would be reaching feudal Japan relatively soon, but hoped the other Shinto gods would stop it until she would be ready to let her kin. Once the tea was boiled, Yusaka moved her face and took a sniff to check if it was boiled enough. Her kitsune physiology allowed her to detect whether the food was ready to be eaten or not. She shook her head knowing it was not yet ready. You can always deny going to war, right? Yusaka asked, looking from the kitchen, to which Issei responded. I don't want to. I wish to meet some people in the war. I heard rumors of the most beautiful angel known as Gabriel, and the smartest fallen angel Azazel. I wish to meet them and get to know them. But that is not the reason why I don't wish for war. It is due to the people that is leading them. As in? Yusaka asked, to which Issei spoke. The four great Satans, from what I have heard on them. They are stated to be immensely arrogant and probably get me or my family killed due to this arrogance. Plus, I have don't save a higher class or higher house devil, I will probably be treated as a pariah. Well, that's a shame. Yusaka sniffed the food again, and soon smiled. It has been cooked. She soon took the tofu out from the cooking pot, placing it in a bowl in the tea, and placed it in a small janware. She soon walked towards Issei, and placed the food on the ground. She then gently spoke. Have something, Voldigad-sama. Issei soon took a bite of the tofu, and started to munch on it. She turned to him and asked. How is it? It's decent. That is all I can say. Yusaka was surprised, before having a smile in response. She then spoke. I am glad you liked it. It is the first time I have ever cooked for someone else. Well, since I had grown up having luxury food, it is quite refreshing to have some food that is not prepared, with the added consideration of preparing for a lord. Thank you, Yusaka. Yusaka returned a much brighter smile, as Issei continued to have his food. He took a sip of tea, while Yusaka took note of this, and asked. Voldigad-sama. For someone that has not visited Japan, you seem to know how to drink and eat like a person that has lived here for years. Issei flinched upon this. He didn't expect Yusaka to be this perceptive. It was no wonder she had become the leader of the Yokai faction. He had to be even more careful, and he spoke in response. My family had taught me manners from several locations, which is why I knew of this. Yusaka seemed to buy Issei's lie, which was not completely a lie due to the fact that his parents didn't spare any detail in raising the boy as a noble. He was grateful to his mother-in-law Vanillana Gremory for teaching him manners to behave like a noble, which made Lyra and Josephus Matius's teaching, who was Issei's father, much more easier. I see. Yusaka spoke in response, as she continued. Anyways, what will you do if Lucifer-sama forces you to fight in the war? Issei looked at her for a moment, before speaking. Well, I will deal with him. You needn't worry about that. But aside from being the future leader of the Yokai faction, do you have another dream? Yusaka thought for a moment, before speaking. I wish to have my own family. And settle down a normal life of that of a shrine maiden. I would really like to have someone that actually cares for me, and likes me for being myself. Issei looked at her with a solemn look. He remembered on how in the future, her previous mate Akunu's birth father had left her all alone while she was pregnant with him. This caused her to have a great distrust towards males in general, while not hating them completely like Artemis did, who couldn't stand them. Though, she didn't let that get in the way of her faction. That changed when Issei saved her and started a good friendly relation with her. "What's wrong, Voldigod-sama?" Yusaka asked with confusion, to which Issei spoke with a smile. "No reason." Issei soon ate his food and drank his tea, with him turning to Yusaka and speaking. "Well, it is past time, I shouldn't be hanging out any longer." Yusaka seemed to have a small frown knowing she may never see him again. She watched him leave, and upon seeing this, she then spoke. "Wait." Issei turned towards her, and she spoke. "Will you visit me again? You want me to come here again, despite me being a demon?" Issei asked with surprise, as Yusaka gave a nod, with her walking towards him and speaking. "You didn't hurt me, despite being a demon. You didn't cause me injuries, that is why I am willing to have faith in you. Something tells me that you are someone that I should know." Issei looked at her, blinking his eyes twice, before speaking. "You sure?" Yusaka nodded, giving a smile, while holding his hand, speaking. "I would like it if you return." "Very well. I shall return to you, one day." Issei spoke while gently removing her hand, as she watched him leave. She soon gave a bow of gratitude before heading inside. Once she does, a yellow glow envelops her. She turned into a small fox before heading inside the shrine. Issei had a smirk. It was nice meeting someone from his past. He was tempted to make her remember the past, but decided to do so when the time was right. Scene change time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei looking for a way to bring video games in the past. A few days later, Devil Party, Underworld, Lucifer, 10:30 p.m. Issei was accompanied by his mother Lyre. He decided to not change his clothing, with Lyre speaking. "Ice, you are going to meet the most important devils in the underworld. Try to remain respectful." "Okay. But I won't make any promises." "You do know about the Lucifer house's situation, right?" Issei added in response, to which Lyre gave a sigh. She knew that the four main Satans have a lot of ego and arrogance, to which Lyre responded. "Ice, be careful if they try to turn the devils against us. It will cause a lot of problems to our house. I am aware, and I won't do anything that would harm the name. Though, Lucifer and the Satans do need to know that arrogance won't do them any good." Issei mused in response, as he continued. "The war is going to hurt all three biblical factions, whether it be angels, fallen angels or devils. It is going to do us no good." Lyra looked at her son and asked, "Then what do you propose?" "Unity, we have to work together in the coming years. If we get working together, we can effectively make the biblical factions united as one again. Though I highly doubt it is possible due to the obvious." Issei responded to his mother, to which she could nod in agreement. She knew that none of the sides see eye to eye, and often hate each other to no bounds. She knew that to see common ground, they have to start setting their differences aside. "You speak like you know it is possible." Lyra spoke with a confused look, as Issei added. "It is, but with the ruling parties on either faction as well as the fact that God and devil hate each other, it seems highly unlikely. From what I recollect, the biblical God projects a sound of goodwill, while in reality is controlling and tyrannical. I may be wrong since I never met him, though it is uncertain. As for the four Satans, I don't need to explain on what kind of people they are." Issei spoke, as he continued to walk ahead before reaching the doors. But before he reached, his mother asked, "What about Azazel?" Issei stopped for a moment. He remembered the man's death at the hands of several gods. He went down in a blaze of glory, allowing Issei and Vali to take down those gods in retribution. Despite the gods winning, they still were able to cause significant damage. "Ice?" Lyra asked with worry, to which Issei snapped out of it, speaking. "Him? He is the least hateful and only desires to focus on his research. Though, it is the people he leads that is causing a problem. Especially a certain general named Kakabiel." Issei knew that his old enemies would also be alive. He should have expected this to happen. He turned to his mother, and spoke. "Regardless, I have a mission to complete, and I won't stop till I finish. I want to make a world where the strong one be suffers while the weak one be tormented. Anyone that stands in my way will be dealt with." Issei spoke his words, and went inside. Lyra wondered why her son said that. She knew that Issei was special, since he spoke his words and introduced himself the day he was born. She wondered what he plans on doing. "Ice, wait." Lyra exclaimed, catching up to her son, as she went inside where many devils were wearing formal clothing and interacting with each other. Lyra then turned to the four Satans, and walked to them, however they were halted by one of the demonic guards. "Halt. Who do you think you are?" One of them spoke, as Lyra responded. "I am Lyra Asmodeus, and I am here." "That wouldn't be necessary, Lyra." Lyra recognized the cold voice, revealing them to be none other than Lucifer Morningstar. Issei had followed his mother when he headed towards her location. He had a normal look on his face. Lucifer Morningstar was clad in intricately designed dark armor with glowing purple energy coursing through his plates. His long flowing silver-white hair cascades down his back and shoulders, adding to his ethereal and regal aura. Two sharp curved black horns extend from his head, giving him a demonic appearance. His piercing eyes radiate intensity, reinforcing his formidable nature. The armor is composed of dark metallic plates with sharp angular designs, creating a fearsome and battle-ready aesthetic. The chestpiece prominently features a glowing purple core, seemingly pulsating with energy, and the segmented plating extends across his arms and legs, providing both mobility and protection. His gauntlets are claw-like, enhancing his menacing demeanor. Large jagged wings or appendages extend from his back, possibly ethereal or armored extensions, emphasizing his supernatural presence. The environment suggests a stormier battle-worn setting, with embers or snowflakes drifting around him, further adding to his imposing and otherworldly appearance. Issei could feel the power coming from this man, and could also see the similarities to RageRevan and Vali, the people that would eventually be his descendants respectively. However, Issei was not frightened or affected by this. He was far stronger than even Prime Lucifer long before he was killed by Shiva, and before he had merged with Anno's Voldigate, becoming a single entity. "Greetings, my lord." Lyra spoke respectfully and with fear in her tone. Issei knew that Lucifer radiated a commanding presence, and while his mother was affected, it barely even affected Issei. It's been a while, has it not, Lyra?" Lucifer spoke with a small smile on his face. Lyra nodded, and he responded. "Indeed it has, my lord. So this meeting, what do you wish to speak to me about?" Lucifer asked, to which Lyra brought forward her son. She then responded, "Meet my son, Issei, my lord." Issei wore a confident look on his face, as Lucifer took one look at him, and spoke. "So you are Lyra's son? Well, it is good to meet you, young man. I believe this is the first time we have met, correct?" "Indeed, my name is Issei Voldigad. It is nice to meet you in person, Lord Lucifer." Issei spoke with a regal impression, though he didn't respect him that much due to him raising a monster like RageRevan live in Lucifer, making Lucifer nod. He didn't seem too arrogant or too prideful. He did give a strong impression on the Morning Star. "Voldigad, shouldn't you call yourself Astaroth?" Lucifer asked with a surprise in his tone, as Issei responded. "No, I prefer calling myself Voldigad." "Boy, you do realize that you won't be considered of that much importance if you don't call yourself Astaroth." Issei and the others turned to someone that had approached them. This was none other than Leviathan, one of the 4 Devil Kings. Her skin is exceptionally pale, creating a stark contrast with her dark pink hair, which cascades down her back in smooth, straight strands, punctuated by a neatly trimmed fringe across her forehead. The large pink eyes are the focal point, drawn with a luminous quality and prominent highlights that suggest a captivating, almost otherworldly gaze. 2 small curved horns, mirroring the color of her hair, protrude from her hairline, subtly hinting at a fantastical or demonic nature. Her attire is a blend of elegance and sensuality, designed to accentuate her figure. A dark form-fitting top, strategically cut away to reveal a significant portion of her large breasts, creates a bold and provocative silhouette. The short dark skirt, trimmed with delicate lace, adds a touch of femininity, while the flowing purple train, trailing behind her, introduces a dramatic and regal element. Her arms are encircled by dark straps and buckles, suggesting a hint of edginess or perhaps a harness-like element. She holds a tall, ornate staff, its dark body culminating in a striking gold finial, adding to her air of authority or magical prowess. The background, a soft pink gradient interspersed with geometric patterns, further enhances the stylized, almost dreamlike quality of the image. The Devil King walked forward from the stairs, to which Lucifer introduced her. "Meet Leviathan, one of your Devil Kings. Leviathan, meet Issei Voldigad. He is the newest devil that has been born." "Indeed, I was listening to your conversation, and so were Beelzebub and the Smuttiest. We all are curious why it chose the Voldigad name instead of choosing the Astaroth name." Issei only closed his eyes and looked at the Devil King square in the eye, speaking his response. "It is because I am going to become a Devil King of my own, and lead the armies. One day, I want to lead using my own power. Cause a Demon King will destroy anyone and all laws with his own power, and not by their name. That is who I want to be. No, that is who I am going to be in the future." Lucifer and Leviathan were surprised by this. They knew that this boy was going to be special from what he said. Lucifer then spoke with a challenging yet arrogant tone. "Voldigad, what you said. Those are some amazing words. Do you have the strength to back them up?" Lucifer asked in response. Issei closed his eyes and spoke with a smirk. "I do, and I shall back them up." Issei spoke with the same confidence and challenging tone. But to their surprise, another voice called out, surprising them in response. "You really think that you can beat us?" The 4 turned to see none other than Beelzebub show up. He exudes a dark regal aura, adorned in intricate black and gold armor that radiates power and elegance. His long flowing hair is a striking shade of ash brown, cascading down his shoulders, while his piercing violet eyes gleam with an enigmatic intensity. A pair of black feathered wings extends from his back, adding to his imposing presence, and curved horns crown his head, emphasizing his otherworldly nature. The ornate golden details of his outfit, including a shoulder guard shaped like a bird with glowing purple eyes, complement the staff he wields. a masterpiece of gold and amethyst craftsmanship. His overall appearance suggests a figure of immense authority and mystique, blending celestial and demonic elements seamlessly. Issei was surprised by this appearance. Is this what Anos meant by saying that there would be changes to the past? He could see that Beelzebub had angelic powers with him as well, and sensed them inside his body. He knew that Beelzebub had access to what is known as King of Flies, allowing him to ambush and use flies to attack his enemies. But he wondered what else was the first generation of Beelzebub capable of. I am sure I can. Issei responded confidently, to which a final voice soon spoke up. In that case, show us what you have gotten, young man. The man was Asmodeus, the final person. He was a man with a dark and elegant appearance. He has long, flowing black hair with bangs framing his face, and his eyes are vivid red, adding an intense, otherworldly aura. His skin is pale, and he has pointed elf-like ears, further emphasizing his supernatural nature. Two prominent black horns curve upward from his head, and large black wings extend from his back. Unlike the others, he was dressed in formal attire that exudes sophistication and a hint of gothic flair. His outfit consists of a black suit jacket with subtle detailing, worn over a deep red vest, and a white dress shirt with black vertical stripes. He wears a black tie, completing the refined look. The decorative red flower with intricate embellishments is pinned to his lapel, adding an ornate touch to his ensemble. Chains and small accents on his vest enhance the luxurious and mysterious vibe of his appearance. I am fine with a battle. So will we be doing it here? Issei asked, to which Lucifer responded. No, you will be proving your prowess either during the test of strength or after the party. Since once you are formally introduced, you will be sent to war. I hope you don't disappoint, Issei Voldigad. I won't. Issei spoke with a confident smile. His mother sighed before having a small smile. The fact that he managed to gain a little respect of the four Satans on his very first introduction made her happy. However, he was being watched by Rozak, who was angered by this. He expected the lords to get angry with Issei, but to his surprise, they never did get angry, while he could see some of them getting annoyed. He was being praised now, as he watched him being introduced to the forward. Lucifer then speaks. Everyone, may I introduce the newest devil of House Astaroth. Issei Voldigad. Stand forward and introduce yourself. Lucifer commanded Issei, who did it regardless of what would happen. He then spoke, as his eyes glowed a bright red. My name is Issei Voldigad, the latest devil of House Astaroth. I am someone that is going to become a demon lord in the future of my own accord. I will ensure that I lead all of my subordinates to victory and defeat the biblical god and those fallen angels that are a threat to my subordinates. None shall be spared from the strength of Issei Voldigad. Cause I do what I want, and nobody will have the strength to stop me. Issei's declaration made many of the devils surprised. However, those that were humiliated by the man were furious at his declaration. Some devils were looking forward to humiliating this man, since a test of strength will soon happen in this party. They were looking forward to humiliating this man in front of everyone. Issei looked at his opponent in the party. He knew that this was going to happen. He looked at his opponent, who was none other than one of his old enemies, Asmodeus. The boy was still a 15-year-old boy. And despite looking like as such, he barely had any age difference. Drake decided to sleep for this fight, knowing that Issei would easily beat him. He was described to be a good-looking young boy wearing the clothes of a noble. His clothes were black with dark red belts and motifs. Krusuri also had a cape. He had black hair tied up in a small ponytail and violet eyes. Krusuri also had pointy ears and pale skin. Issei narrowed his gaze, remembering Sersich's Lucifer putting this man in his place a long time back. He was killed without any mercy or care. Issei looked at the person, and responded. So Krusuri, do you honestly wish to still fight against me? First, call me Krusuri-sama. You will show me the respect I deserve. Issei could only roll his eyes. He knew that many of the Satan descendants, including his own great-grandfather, are arrogant and prideful, but some take it to an extreme. He looked at his mother, who nodded. She was concerned that Issei may get himself killed by them. He could see that the other devils are also watching with intrigue on how this match is going to go. Issei then responded. Yeah, you haven't done anything to earn my respect anyway. Krusuri looked at Issei with anger in his eyes, as he retorted. How dare you? Do you know who I am? I am Asmodeus, a member of the House of Asmodeus. I am of royal blood. Frankly, I don't know, and I don't care. Let's get this started. Issei spoke with a smirk, as he soon decided to mock the Asmodeus member, adding. Or were you scared? Krusuri got even more angrier, as he retorted. After I am going to destroy the pompous face of yours and stain it with blood. I will ensure that all your dreams break today. Issei didn't say anything, as he looked at Lucifer and the man gave a nod. He then announced. The match between the two youngest members of our generation. Issei Voldigad and Asmodeus shall begin. Victory can only be achieved when one side surrenders. The two got ready for fighting against one another. Issei knew that he would have to deal with a lot of arrogant devils in the future. He decided to set the record straight dealing with them right now. Since to Issei, it doesn't matter whether you are royal blood or angelic blood, since he treats everyone equally, and those that bother him will be dealt with accordingly, and he will set an example to those that annoy him the most. And begin. Lucifer exclaimed, as the two got ready for battle. Crusari started to unleash several energy magic attacks at him. However, Issei only took a deep breath and breathed air, disintegrating his attacks into nothingness. Crusari was shocked by this, as he spoke. Impossible. How can this be? Simple, I took a breath. Issei mused, making Crusari even more shocked by this. He was starting to get annoyed and angered by how easy Issei was making him to be. He wanted to see to it that he is humiliated. The onlookers could only look in surprise, with even the 4 great devil kings looking on in shock and surprise, as Lucifer asked Lyra. Lyra, how did he deal with ultimate class spells like it was nothing? Well, Lyra took a deep breath, as she continued. Issei has always been a special child. On his birth, he immediately started to speak, and not just regular basic words. He gave us a full introduction on who he is, and what name should we give him. Hence why he liked to be called Issei Voldigod. He is a good child, but only to me and my husband. Regardless, he is one of the most powerful younger generation devils, even scoring victories against members of the houses of Lucifer. Lyra explained to the 4 devil kings, as Beelzebub exclaimed. Impossible. An Aster of performing feats like this. Asmodeus added in response. This is incredible. If Joseph were here, he would have been even more proud of his son. That is true. Leviathan mused, as she continued. He does present himself as a demon lord. But he is not going to get permission that easily, though. Lucifer spoke with an arrogant tone, and with a smirk. He then continued. For that, he will have to impress me even further. However, to his surprise, another voice soon was heard. Lucy, go easy on that boy. Well, why? The voice was sultry and seductive, akin to a beautiful maiden trying to seduce a person. The mere voice would have made most low-class beings shiver and blush. The 5 turned to see none other than Lilith Morningstar appear. The wife of Lucifer appear. She was a beautiful woman with a very lustful aura. Her hair is a deep rich purple, styled in a sharp asymmetrical bob with longer strands framing her face, while golden horns protrude from her head, giving her a demonic or dragon-like appearance. The golden headdress with decorative pins and red bead accents adds to her regal, yet ominous, allure. Her piercing blue eyes and faint enigmatic expression enhance her mysterious aura. Her outfit is a bold fusion of revealing and armored design. She wears a black and gold trim top with an exposed neckline, accentuated by metallic shoulder armor on one side. A flowing dark kimono-like robe with intricate patterns drapes over her arms, blending elegance with menace. The left arm is clad in an ornate golden gauntlet adorned with arcane symbols, extending into sharp claws. She also wears form-fitting black leggings with gold accents and a wide, belted sash around her waist, adding a militaristic edge. Small demonic wings protrude from her back, reinforcing her supernatural nature. The setting appears dark and mystical, with glowing purple energy illuminating her surroundings, as she clutches a metallic mask or artifact, hinting at an enigmatic backstory. She walked forward, as Lyra bowed to her, and spoke. Lady Lilith. There is no need to bow in front of me. You are like family to us as well. Lilith spoke with a genuine smile. Lyra soon raised her head, and nodded. Lilith then looked towards Issei and Crusari, and saw on how he was effortlessly, toying and even mocking him. She then turned to Lyra, and spoke with slightly sultriness. That is the ISSEI I have heard so much about. Yes, he is my son. Did he catch your interest? Lyra asked with a surprised tone, as Lilith responded. Given how he is toying with Asmodeus's descendant, I can see that. Lilith responded with a smile, as she turned to her fellow sex demon or sex devils. Asmodeus could only give a sigh upon this. There are a few types of demons, but one of the most rarest demons are sex demons. These can come in 2 variants. Incubus and succubus. Incubus are a male variant of the sex demons. They often feed on sexual energy of females by constantly doing the intercourse with them. As a result, Asmodeus has the most satanic children amongst the 4 devil kings. It is even stated that it is not uncommon for incubus like Asmodeus to have harem of women at his bedside, constantly doing intercourse all day night. While succubus are the female variant of sex demons. They also feed on the sexual energy of males by doing the same as incubus does to females. However, unlike incubi, succubi move from target to feed on sexual energy. Succubi also have a unique quality of sensing sexual energy by just being in the vicinity of males and seducing the sexually active. Additionally, due to this, succubi also have a low birth rate and can't have children unless they are really lucky. Even then, sex demons have a 2% chance of being born from regular demons, which is increased to 10% if they are born from incubi or succubi. However, unlike devils, there are no hybrids of sex demons. At the battle, Issei was utterly destroying Crusari without much effort. He looked at the man apathetically speaking. Really? Is that all? You were talking big and look at what happened. Shut it. Crusary exclaimed with anger, as Issei decided to mock him and put him in his place. Well, I will make a deal. If you manage to make me move from this spot right there. Issei pointed to the ground, as he continued. I won't speak any word to unleash magic upon you. If you are able to make me speak, or move from this spot, consider it your victory. Crusary smirked, as he responded. You will perish. He dashed forward having energy magic in his hands, intending to integrate him. Only for him to suddenly stop and start screaming in pain with blood erupting from his body, due to the several wounds that were created. He fell to the ground, and screamed. How can this be? Issei only pointed to his heart, and spoke. Can you hear it? What? Crusary asked with surprise and horror, as he widened his eyes in shock and surprise. Issei then asks. Can you hear my heartbeat? And no. Crusary responded with horror, as he realized what Issei has done. However, before he could retort, he continued to once again take constant damage from every single heartbeat that Issei's heart had beaten. He continued to scream in sheer agony due to the attack. Crusary fell to the ground. He was groaning and crying in pain due to this. Now then, will you surrender or not? Issei asked in response. He was curious to see what this man is going to say. In the meantime, the six were even more amazed by this, as Lucifer spoke. He kept his word in the end. Interesting. He had a smirk on his face. His respect for Issei has increased from this. Since in his eyes, a devil will always keep the end of his deal. It matters to the other side for them to accept the deal, no matter whether it leads to ruin or destruction. The contract specifies everything in the deal, and hidden clauses are present. Even if the end of the deal results in a soul. There's a reason why people say, read the fine print in every contract. Cluci is more than capable of being a lord. Lilith spoke with a smile on her face. Lucifer shook his head, and spoke. He can be once he kills someone important. Though even I have a feeling that he can be a devil king, or as he calls himself, a demon lord. You must be proud of your great-grandson, don't you, Asmodeus? Leviathan spoke with a smile, to which Asmodeus responded. Yes, though there will be many that will hate him for what he has done. Asmodeus pointed to the devils, who had a mixture of anger and fear placed in them. They were feeling fear knowing what this boy was doing to Asmodeus, and having no care for what is to come for the others. Beelzebub then responded. You can't help it, raising a hand on royalty is not to be taken kindly. But it matters not, you did say that he fought back, right liar? Beelzebub asked turning to Liar, to which she spoke. Yes, Issei doesn't care about loyalty. In his eyes, a demon lord does what he wants and bends everything to his will by the use of his power. Titles, authority and blood don't mean anything to Issei, and he will prove himself, no matter what happens. The other devil kings couldn't help but smile seeing this. He has his own way of displaying arrogance and strength in the battlefield. Since to Issei, he doesn't care for other things, but he respects those to prove himself. Back with Issei, he then leaned and spoke. So Crusary, give up. Never. Even if I lose, I won't let you grant the satisfaction of victory. You may kill me, but remember the Asmodeus clan will see to it that. Before Crusary could complete, Issei snapped his fingers and unleashed a wave that instantly killed him, blowing his body into bits of blood and flesh. Issei had a look of coldness, as he spoke. Did I use too much power? Issei asked, to which the audience were horrified. Even the other devil kings were shocked by how he killed, while Asmodeus and Lyra were stunned by how ruthless he is. The audience were soon murmuring. He killed an Asmodeus. He is a monster among devils. The Asmodeus clan will make him regret what he has done. Yep, even the Astaroth clan will suffer because of him. The brat had it coming, he will regret humiliating me in training. We should avoid him at all costs. In the meantime, Razak was gritting his teeth in fury, seeing the display on what Issei did to him. He hates Issei for what he did to an Asmodeus member, since the clan is one of the 4 great devil kings of the devils. The fact that Issei intended to ruin his clan was something he did not want. He had to plan to deal with Issei at all costs. He then cursed underneath his breath. That damned brat. Issei looked at the stadium, and responded. 3-second rule, huh? Issei had a smirk, as he dropped to blood and chanted. Ingle. When the blood touched the ground, a magic circle formed around beneath the location, and Crusary was revived. Completely healed from any and all damages that were happening. What happened? What did you do? Crusary were speaking in horror and terror. He knew that he just died, as Issei explained. I revived you. You don't deserve a long explanation, so I will tell you this. When I kill you, as long as you are revived within 3 seconds, you can come back without any problems. Even your wounds are healed without hesitation. Issei turned to Crusary and spoke. So will you give up? Impossible. I won't give up. I carry the pride of House Asmodeus. I am a royal. Issei didn't let him finish and once again snapped his fingers, killing him again in front of everyone. Issei didn't care for what others think. He then spoke while repeating the procedure of reviving and killing him again. You know, I was always curious what happens when you die. Do you keep your memories the same, or? Issei repeated the procedure and continuing the cycle, as the onlookers could only continue watching in shock, horror, fear and disbelief, seeing on what Issei was doing to Crusoe. Do you lose them? At every given step? Do you lose your sanity after every death, experiencing pain from all your prior deaths? Or are you unaffected? Let's find out, shall we? Issei soon looked at him. He made him suffer so many deaths and resurrections and responded. So tell me Crusoe, how do you feel? Crusoe's mental state was in shambles due to what has happened, as Issei spoke. No answer. I guess I should do it again. However, what nobody expected was Crusoe getting on all four of his knees and prostrating himself, kneeling in front of Issei. He then pleaded with tears in his eyes. And no more deaths, I beg of you. I surrender. Issei got his answer and nodded. He turned to Lucifer, who decided to announce the winner. Crusoe loses the battle by surrendering. The winner of this battle is Issei VOLDIGOAD. The announcement was made, but nobody clapped or cheered. That was until someone did so. Nice job, my son. You did amazing. Issei turned to see his mother clapping and cheering for him. Despite the horror she felt earlier, she was happy and relieved that her son had won against his opponent. Issei looked at her and couldn't help but smile, seeing his mother cheer for him despite what has happened. He soon walked out, raising his hand in response. None of the devils said anything, as Lyra stopped cheering when she saw her son leave the room. Stand proud, Lyra. Lyra turned to Lucifer, who had spoken. Your son is someone that will change the world. He will be the one to defeat that bastard once and for all. Lyra nodded in response, to which she had a smile. The other devil kings were also happy by the fact that Issei would be the reason that they would end up defeating the biblical god one day. She soon spoke in response. I should probably go and meet up with him. Wait. Lyra turned to see the other devil kings and Lilith stand up, with the Asmodeus speaking. We all will also join you. Scene change. Issei was walking in the hallways of the parties enjoying some wine that he was having, since due to his biology, he cannot get drunk. He then spoke. So Drake, what did you think of the match? Don't ask me, partner. I was sleeping during the entire fight. Issei rolled his eyes in response, and spoke to the Welsh dragon. Lazy-ass dragon. Whatever. Drake grumbled in response, as he continued. Partner, your uncle is heading your way. Oh dear, let's see what bullshit he has to say. Issei spoke, as he kept his wine down. He turned to Rozak and spoke. So what do you want, Rozak? Brat. You have crossed the line by going against an Asmodeus. Issei turned to him, and spoke. What of it? Are you really going to fight me, after what happened the last time, uncle? You. Rozak growled in response, as he continued. You damned being. You dare defy the house Asmodeus. Going against me, is going against the house itself. Oh? Issei mused with a smirk, having a mocking expression on his face, as he continued. How are you going to stop me? Are you going to try your luck against me yet again, uncle? Rozak was beyond furious, as he activated a magic circle of green energy, as he shouted. I will take you down, right now. You damn brat. Issei was ready to defend himself. He was ready to teach Rozak an even bigger lesson, and wanted to deal with him once and for all. Even if it kills him, Issei wanted to show on how futile it is to confront him against him. However, to his surprise, his hand was grabbed by someone. He turned to see, and exclaimed. Hey, what do? When he saw the one that grabbed his hand, and responded. Lord Lucifer. Rozak's color completely drained when he saw the person who did it. It was none other than Lucifer Morningstar that was completely furious at what he was doing. Lucifer Morningstar then spoke. Rozak Astaroth. Leave this room, now. Rozak tried to resist this order by speaking. But Lord Lucifer, he needs to. I won't repeat it again, Rozak. Lucifer released some of his aura, making him afraid. Rozak started to sweat even more. He was afraid of messing with the Devil King that defied the very god himself. Leave. Now. Lucifer demanded him to leave, as Rozak left the room in complete fear. He didn't want to mess with the man. Lyra could only shake her head seeing this. They soon turned towards him with everyone in the room excluding Issei and Lyra, bowing before the four Devil Kings and Lilith. VOLDIGOAD Issei. I believe we should have a conversation about your abilities. Lucifer spoke with a serious tone, but with a smirk. Issei then responded. Sure, what is it that you want to talk about? Lilith soon decided to introduce herself. My name is Lilith Morningstar, wife of Luci. It is a pleasure to meet you, Issei. Issei soon turned to Lilith, who had joined them. He remembered her fate that had happened courtesy of Hades. She had gone missing, and when she was found again, she was almost dead courtesy of the god of the dead. And when Issei found her, she was on the verge of death, due to the maternal strain. She soon passed away in front of him, as he and his group had confronted Hades and his army. They had won in the end, with Vali dealing the finishing blow to the god, ending his life in the old timeline. He avenged Lilith by ending the god once and for all. It was the first sign to show that gods can be defeated by them, happening during the first few years of the global freeze. It's nice to meet you, Lilith. Lilith soon had a small smile on her face, as he asked. The same Lilith that had defied God and Adam. Lilith nodded and responded with a mocking tone. Yup. Adam and the biblical god tried their best to force me to their whims, and failed. Miscrably. Unlike Lucy, Adam was a control freak, and showed me barely any interests. Issei gave a nod. He never knew Lilith's true side, since she was too weak and crippled to do anything to him. All she could do was wave and give a smile, knowing she could finally rest in the old timeline. Issei shook his head. He is never going to make her suffer due to these gods. She was a demon, and unless she betrays him, he will see to it that she is protected properly. So what is it that you wish to speak to me about? Issei asked, to which Lucifer took a glass of wine, and spoke. You have the magic that allows you to instantly kill and revive a ultimate class devil. You showed on what you were capable of, so you will be joining the war, right? Yes. Issei responded, as he continued. Though I have my own reasons, I need to confront certain people in this war. People who will be key to my own personal goals. Lucifer gave a nod. He wondered on what his goals are, as he spoke seriously and with a small threat in his voice. Are your goals intending to harm our kind? No, I have no reason to harm you. From what I remember, I am part Asmodeus from father's side. Plus, you all demons and will be my allies, so I have no reason to harm the devils. Issei responded to Lucifer Morningstar, earning a nod and a smile from him. He then turned towards Asmodeus and spoke. I was not expecting you to be this strong. But you were an exception. Don't let us down in battle against them. Issei gave a nod and responded. I won't, great-grandfather. Though may I ask something, why is it that this war is happening? Issei asked with a normal tone, while some of the devils were bewildered by him asking such a question. The four Satans and Lilith weren't angry or annoyed by this. It was understandable for some devils to question them upon this. Lucifer then spoke. It is because the biblical god is a controlling bastard. Lucifer's tone had anger inside of it. Issei could see that the other Satans and even Lilith was angered by the very mention of the biblical god. He then continued. I have seen what kind of a person the biblical god really is. He preaches an outward appearance of goodness to his followers, while in reality, he intends to create and ensure as much control as possible. I have seen him extend his control. He may be good to those that follow him, and even generous, but to those that oppose me, well, all I can say, look at me and Lilith. Lilith was also gritting her teeth in anger, as she added without any mix of her sultry tone. He is stated to be extremely controlling. To the point, if you don't do what he has asked, he will make sure you do it by any means necessary. First time, if you deny, or maybe a few times, he might consider, but if you defy certain orders, he will see to it that you comply. Even my relationship with my ex-husband Adam was a product of this. Leviathan was the next to speak. She also wanted to add some more words of hers. That is why, we created a whole faction to oppose the biblical god and his followers. Me, Asmodeus, Beelzebub were amongst the survivors of Lucifer's first rebellion against the biblical god. We, along with Lilith, who joined us due to dissatisfaction with Adam and the biblical god, decided to join forces and rebuild the devil faction you see around you. Leviathan responded to Issei, explaining to Issei on why they hated the divine faction so much. Then what about the fallen angels? Issei asked, to which Asmodeus responded. It's simple, boy, the fallen angels are similar to us, except they wish to gain back access to heaven, and the best way to do so is by killing us devils. Fallen angels hate us on par with devils, and they even reside in the underworld. We share domain with Hades and the fallen angels. And since the territory for us is quite huge, we have no problems about the territory. Asmodeus responded, as Beelzebub finally ended the answer. But recently fallen angels have been attacking territories of extra demons, and other clans killing many members. They have been conquering underworld territories, and have been making it part of Grigori. Which is why, soon they might attack the Astaroth territory very soon. Issei grew wide-eyed, realizing that his mother could be in danger. He turned to his mother, who nodded in response and agreement to what Beelzebub had said. That is why, I was considering of lowering the ages of conscription to 8 due to this. I feel that we will be needing more soldiers. Lucifer mused. He knew that the devil birth rates were already low due to the biblical god cursing them, along with putting a lifespan of 10,000 years to them to ensure that their population doesn't increase. It won't be necessary. Issei spoke in response. He turned to them, and spoke. I will be joining the armies. You can count on it. Ice, you sure of this? Lyra spoke with concern. She was worried that she would have to be all alone due to her husband, and now her son not being around. Issei nodded, and spoke. I will join the fight against them. Ending the war once and for all, and dealing with the biblical god. The four great Satans nodded in understanding and acceptance. Though unaware of the true reason why Issei wants to deal with the biblical god, since he needed to know on the global freeze or not, and whether he was involved in the batch of gods that would be involved in doing so. Well, we will leave you be. Enjoy the party, your mother was looking forward to meeting you. The four Satans decided to take their leave, with Lilith speaking before joining her husband. Nice to meet you, Issei. She gave a flying kiss to him, before she had left him. The other devils then started to get back to your business, as Lyra leaped on her son and embraced him with joy while exclaiming, "That was such a good fight. You did so well, Ice." She rubbed her chin towards him with an affectionate manner. It was clear that she cared for him to no bounds given that he was her firstborn. Issei then spoke. "Mother, this is embarrassing." Lyra only giggled in response, as the mother-son duos started to get some food to eat. "Ice, would you tell me something?" Issei turned to Lyra, who asked, "Why did you agree on fighting against the other two factions?" "Simple, I just hate the gods. It is because of what the 4 devil kings had said to me. Though I believe they were too arrogant at first, they don't seem to be that bad, at least not to those that were willing to fight for them." "Was it because I was part of Asmodeus' family?" Issei asked his mother, to which she responded, "To some extent yes, they do have a special acceptance to those that have the blood of the 4 great Satans. Your father didn't want himself or you to be shackled with the clan, hence why he decided to let you take the name of Astaroth. But you decided to rename yourself Voldigod, right?" Lyra added to her words, as Issei gave a nod. He then spoke. "That is my name, mother. Let's probably eat, since the sooner we head back, the sooner we don't have to deal with him." Issei pointed to a seething Ruzak, who wanted to get back at Issei. Lyra looked at him and nodded in understanding. She then spoke. "Alright, Ice." Lyra also decided to get some food, and the duos started to eat peacefully. Issei looked towards his mother, making a solemn vow to himself, as he made sure one thing would come to reality. No matter what happens, history won't repeat itself. He will destroy any god that intends to enact the global freeze again. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.